Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of WWE, so let's start off with today's first WWE news story. Jeff Jarrett reportedly leaves Senior Vice President position with WWE. WWE Hall of Famer Jeff Jarrett has left his position as WWE Senior Vice President of Live Events last week, PWInsider.com has reported. According to the report, the belief is that Jarrett finished his official office duties this past Friday, the outlet has confirmed with multiple sources. Jarrett made his WWE return in May after leaving his backstage role in January 2021. At the time, he worked as a producer, a member of the creative team, and then Senior Vice President of Live Events. Back in July, Jarrett spoke on the After the Bow with Corey Graves podcast about his intentions as WWE Senior Vice President of Live Events. Quote, "Here's what I believe that drives me to this day, and why I'm so excited to be in the live event department is because promoting a show in 2022, I believe, I don't say radically, but it is different than it was even in 2019, Jarrett said. The presentation and the marketing and what drives live events, I don't want to say it's brand new, but you asked what kind of excites me, what is something I want to do. Promoting a show today is different than it was in 2019, and so I'm highly energized to get in there, roll up my sleeves, and keep on keeping on and try different things and to be innovative. And at the end of the day, like all of us, create more revenue for WWE." Before his WWE return in May, Jarrett returned to Lucha Libre AAA during its AAA Invades WrestleCon event, and on April 30, Jarrett appeared at Triple Mania 30. Jarrett also had his first match since 2019, facing Effie at Game Changer's first pay-per-view at the Hammerstein Ballroom. Jarrett's last on-screen appearance for WWE was at SummerSlam on July 30, serving as the special guest referee for the Street Profits vs. the Usos match. The day after, on July 31st, Jarrett and Jay Lethal faced Ric Flair and Andrade El Idolo at Ric Flair's last match event. This is an interesting one, isn't it? I can't say I'm totally shocked. Jeff Jarrett in recent years has worn many hats. And frankly, when he competed in Ric Flair's final match, last match, whatever that pay-per-view was called, when he competed in that match alongside Jay Lethal against Ric Flair and Andrade El Idolo, I found it odd because not of Jarrett's participation, because he's involved in that ad-free show's family. Of course, he's got his own podcast, very good, My World Podcast, him and Conrad Thompson. But I was surprised because this is a guy who is... He wasn't contracted to WWE as a talent, so he could do it, but he was a senior vice president. That's a really high position in a big multi-billion-dollar global company, and I did think that at the time, like, I know it's pro wrestling and kind of anything goes, I suppose, but I did think, like, that's odd to have a senior vice president, you know, competing in a match during SummerSlam weekend in which he was also involved as a talent. I don't know in terms of, you know, the live event structure, what he was involved in. I don't know. I mean, ultimately, we don't know a ton of details as to why this move has happened. I mean, when it was revealed back in May that he was back with the company in an executive role, and the role involved of being the senior vice president of live events, to me that did actually make sense. I thought, and this is why Jeff Jarrett, even if you're not a fan, or you're not a fan of some of his, you know, the work in his career in WCW or WWE or in TNA, if you're not a fan of the early days of TNA wrestling where he was heavily in charge when it came to booking and all that kind of stuff, even if you're not a fan of all of that, the guy has a lot of experience. So when it was announced that he was going to be the senior vice president of live events back in May, I went, well, that does make sense. There aren't many people that have that pro wrestling experience as to how to book a show, how to promote a show, how to do all that kind of stuff in those markets. Jeff Jarrett is one of a rare group of people that knows how to do that and has experience doing that. So to me, that did make sense. And in addition, after his tenure with TNA Wrestling ended, forget GFW and all that kind of stuff, but he was heavily influential in a lot of the stuff that you saw on Fight TV, stuff that you didn't actually know that Jeff Jarrett was involved in. Bringing Wrestle Kingdom, I forget which one it was, it might have been Wrestle Kingdom 8 or something like that. Basically, the first Wrestle Kingdom to be put on Fight TV, the one that Jim Ross called, that had a lot to do with Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett was instrumental in brokering that deal, finding the partners at Fight TV, bringing Jim Ross into the deal and doing record business for Fight TV. So I looked at that, and as a promoter, you would say, well, Jeff Jarrett, yeah, he's a promoter. He's a third-generation promoter. He understands. He gets it. So that role, when it was announced, I went, well, that does make sense. It was still wild to think that Jarrett was back in that WWE fold once again, and this time as a senior vice president of WWE, the company that he was persona non grata for so many years. He was in an executive role. That was surprising. So just May, June, July, August, 3 months later for him to be gone from the company, there has to be something significant there, whether it's not the role that he thought it was, whether it's WWE wasn't happy with his performance, whether Jeff Jarrett just felt like, actually, I didn't really want to do this job anymore. And that might be part of it too. I mean, you have to see that he did work that match with Ric Flair, and he's part of that ad-free show's family, and he's been quite instrumental in promoting parts of that too. Maybe he just thought, you know what, things are changing in WWE right now, and they are, and maybe that's part of it too. Vince McMahon's gone, and John Laurinaitis is gone, and for good reason. And now Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan are the co-CEOs of the company. Triple H is in charge of creative and in charge of talent relations. And maybe that sort of senior leadership roles, or that senior leadership committee is kind of changing a little bit. And maybe Jeff Jarrett just didn't fit in there, or he felt that it was the right time to go. And he's got lots of other projects going on at the moment. His podcast, again, the ad-free show stuff. Conrad Thompson's already started hinting that he's going to be doing more events like Ric Flair's last match, whether it's, he said he asked DDP if he wanted to do it. There's rumors about Harlem Heat's last match and all that kind of stuff. So Jeff Jarrett might be heavily involved in that. And maybe, just maybe, that whole brand, if you will, the last match brand that Conrad brought, or sort of created for StarCast, maybe Jeff Jarrett's just going to be really heavily involved in that. And to be honest, I wouldn't be shocked with that either, truly. So maybe it's just a case of the right time, i.e. the WWE structure is changing, and maybe Jeff Jarrett also thought, yeah, I'm going to be more involved with other things going forward. So it's the right move for all parties right now. So I could certainly see that maybe possibly being the situation there. But nevertheless, it was certainly still very surprising. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Where do you think Jeff Jarrett's going to go next? Update on a reason why WWE wants TV-14 programming. There's a new report explaining yet another reason why WWE is considering moving from a TV PG rating to TV-14 in the future. It was reported on July 14th that there were discussions between USA Network and WWE about making Raw a TV-14 television show like it was prior to the PG change in 2008. The rumored change to TV-14 led to fans getting excited about it, but there's been no announcement of the change. At the time of the report, Vince McMahon was still the WWE chairman and CEO. Now that he's been replaced by daughter Stephanie in those roles, there hasn't been a change as of right now. While the July 14th report did state that WWE USA Network were thinking, there was some backtracking with the story that the internal memo was sent out prematurely. Brian Alvarez discussed the matter on Wrestling Observer Radio while claiming that one of the reasons why WWE wants to go to TV-14 is because they can then stop editing certain fan chants during the show. There were incidents during the NXT Heatwave event on August 16 where fans chanted "Holy shit" and "You effed up" during the show, so WWE had to mute it. Alvarez commented on it saying, quote, "Honestly, one of the reasons they wanted to go to TV-14 was because they're sick of having to edit out those chants," end quote. Following the reports of WWE dropping the PG rating for TV-14, Hall of Famer The Undertaker said that it was a positive move because it would take the handcuffs off many superstars in the company too. Ah yes, TV-14 rating. The answer to all of WWE's creative problems. TV-14 rating, we're going to go back to the Attitude Era, and then WWE, just like that, is going to be like it was back in the 1990s. We're going to have millions and millions and millions of people tuning in. Monday Night Raw is going to draw 5, 6, 7 million viewers. Of course not. TV-14 rating has been sort of viewed by some people as this silver bullet, the golden ticket that is going to return WWE to the promised land of creative, I don't know, I don't even know the right word to describe it, but I always sort of laughed slightly when it comes to TV-14 rating. You know, TV PG can be fine and it can be compelling. What you need to have, people saying, swear words or curse words every 5 seconds to be entertaining? Of course you don't. Now, does it allow an extra layer of freedom? Absolutely. Does it allow talents to talk more like they would in real life? Absolutely. 100%. And nowadays, sponsors, I think, are becoming more broad with the stuff that they'll advertise on. There have been the rumors before of certain sponsors wouldn't sponsor a TV14 show, but they would sponsor a TV-PG show. I think AEW is quite good evidence that sponsors will sponsor a program that people watch. But they don't really care at all too much unless the content is really, really, really hardcore or racy stuff, which I don't think WWE would ever really go back towards at this point. They're just too big to go back to bra and panties and blood every single match and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that will ever happen when it comes to WWE. Sponsors will sponsor shows that people watch and ultimately which will make them money. That's all they care about. TV14, TVPG, TVMA, they don't really care that much, honestly. So I don't think that's a big part of it. The Brian Alvarez bit where he says, really, they just want to get to a TV14 rating because they don't want to edit out chants. It's lazy. I feel like it's lazy reporting, in my opinion. Oh, they just don't want to edit out chants, so they're going to change. No, I don't think so. Again, I don't think that is the case. I feel that those within the USA Network and possibly WWE feel like it was just a way that it could possibly boost ratings. I remember a time where it was rumored that the third hour of Monday Night Raw was going to be TV14 because they feel like if they have TV14, it will boost ratings. But I've never subscribed to that theory. What boosts ratings, call me crazy, but what boosts ratings and boosts viewership is good product. It's a good television program. If you can deliver something that people want to watch, or people have to tune in to watch, or there's that feeling, I have to tune in this week, otherwise I'm going to miss something big, then people will watch. That's it. That is that people look at all these different solutions and this, that, and the other. It's never that complicated. Make something that keeps people hooked, that leaves a cliffhanger, and means they have to tune in next week. There is so much competition nowadays. And I'm not talking about AEW. I'm talking about television in general. There is so much content to watch, not just live content, but content on Netflix, on Disney Plus, on Amazon Prime. Constant on-demand content. And ultimately, as a company like WWE, they have to give the viewers a product they want to watch. How many times, I find myself in this situation, how many times do you think, right, am I going to watch Raw or SmackDown tonight? And you go, well, if I miss it, what am I going to miss? Am I really going to miss anything? Am I going to miss something that I go, damn, I wish I hadn't skipped the program? Very rarely. We've seen an uptick in terms of viewership recently with Triple H, and I think this kind of reflects my theory here. And that theory is if you deliver a decent program, people will watch. And I think they're starting to see that somewhat with Triple H. I think there's still a way to go for WWE. But the idea that TV14 is going to be this big solution to all of their problems, I just don't buy. Myself, I prefer an edgier, more adult-orientated product, but then I'm also an adult. I'm sure that children probably prefer a childlike product to an extent. I don't know. I don't know. When I was younger, I always preferred a more adult-orientated product, but that's just me. And I'm also very aware, and you have to think about this, and you're probably similar here watching this video, that not everyone likes what we like or likes what you like. And WWE, they do try to spread it out for all audiences. But again, the idea that TV14 would be a magic bullet, I disagree. But you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on WWE possibly going back to TV14? Trish Stratus gets physical with top Raw stable at WWE house show. WWE has spent the last couple of days touring around Canada. During this time, we've seen Canadian stars like Sami Zayn have the crowd rally behind them, including Kevin Owens making a special appearance after SmackDown went off the air. The Canadian star power doesn't end there though, as last night at a house show ahead of her scheduled Monday Night Raw appearance, WWE Hall of Famer Trish Stratus made a special appearance too. During the live event in Kingston, Quebec, Canada, WWE Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair took on Io Sky. Sky's allies Bayley and Dakota Kai got involved in the match, causing Belair to retain her title via a disqualification victory. Asuka and Alexa Bliss came out to even the odds alongside former WWE Women's Champion Trish Stratus. Stratus helped Bliss and Asuka fight off Sky, Bayley and Kai before helping Belair up to her feet and celebrating with the trio. This is Stratus's first WWE appearance since her short run throughout 2018 and 2019. In early 2018, Stratus appeared in the very first WWE Women's Royal Rumble and made sporadic appearances for the company until the first ever All-Women's Evolution pay-per-view, where she and Lita defeated Mickie James and Alicia Fox. In 2019, Stratus returned for what was currently her last wrestling match, taking on Charlotte Flair at SummerSlam, a match in which Stratus lost. However, she did receive a standing ovation from her hometown crowd in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. As is always the case with live events, I think there's a really high chance we see a very similar segment tonight on Monday Night Raw. Of course, we know that Trish Stratus is scheduled for Monday Night Raw tonight, and I wouldn't be shocked if we see something similar, i.e. we see her possibly brawl with, or at least have a verbal confrontation with Bayley, with Io Sky, with Dakota Kai, or something like that. I wouldn't even be shocked if we see the exact same scenario in terms of the match or anything like that. I know some people are getting excited and they're saying, does this mean that we're going to see Trish Stratus wrestle once again? I don't think so. Of course, she had a couple of runs, well, a couple of short comeback runs in 2018 and 2019, of course. The last match she had was against Charlotte Flair, nearly at this point 3 years ago at SummerSlam. That was in Toronto, and that was a decent match, but that felt like her final match. Clearly, Trish Stratus can still go, and if she wanted to get involved in this feud and wrestle a match, she absolutely could. Whether or not she will, I don't see the purpose, honestly, at this point. I really don't. I look at the people involved here. You've got Bayley, Io Sky, Dakota Kai, looking like the match that we're going to have at Clash at the Castle was going to be them versus Bianca Belair versus Asuka versus Alexa Bliss, unless they sort of move away from that and they have, you know, Bianca Belair versus Bayley, and then you've got Io Sky and Dakota Kai versus Asuka and Alexa Bliss, possibly for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Maybe they go in that direction. That might be the more likely direction, but I don't see Trish Stratus really getting involved long term. I think they'll do the segment they did at the live event tonight on Raw. They'll do it because, of course, again, Canadian crowd and big pop, and also advertising Trish Stratus for Raw. People, again, I talk about tuning in, gives them a reason to tune in, so I can see them doing that. But the idea of them getting involved long term, I don't honestly truly see. I mean, in terms of opponents that are left for Trish Stratus to face off with, it's really Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks, maybe Bayley, I suppose. But in terms of those big matches, I know she teased possibly facing Sasha Banks, and we don't know at this point. We still don't really know the future of Sasha Banks and Naomi. That's kind of quieting down a little bit, hasn't it? Possibly we might get an answer to that at Clash at the Castle. Maybe we see Naomi and Sasha Banks return then and confront the new Women's Tag Team Champions, or whenever they're crowned, anything like that. But in terms of single matches, of course, that Sasha Banks match has been teased for a while, but that isn't going to go anywhere tonight because Sasha Banks isn't going to be on Raw tonight. As far as Becky Lynch is out injured at the moment. So, again, those matches, they aren't there to be teased. They aren't there to be hinted at because neither one of those people are going to be on Raw unless they're building to a potential Trish Stratus Bayley match in the future, which would be great, no doubt about it. But I don't see that being Bayley's focus right now. I see Bayley's focus being the feud with Bianca Belair and possibly the pursuit of the Raw Women's Championship. And frankly, I know that Bianca Belair only recently, she won the championship back at WrestleMania, didn't she? But I see Bayley as realistically the person that would take the championship off Bianca Belair, honestly. I mean, you can let me know in the comment section below. Who do you think could possibly take that title off Bianca Belair? I kind of struggle to see who that person could possibly be. So as far as Trish Stratus getting involved long term, I don't see that. Unless, you get Lita back involved. Of course, Lita was involved earlier this year in her feud with Becky Lynch, and we know that Trish Stratus and Lita are best friends in real life, and possibly they could do a situation where they get involved in the women's tag team division scene. But again, I feel like that's a stretch. I feel that's unlikely to happen. But, Lita did seem very keen on returning to the ring once again, even once her match was done at Elimination Chamber earlier this year. So certainly anything is possible, and we'll have to wait and see when it comes to Trish Stratus. Of course, she is going to be on Raw tonight, though. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Trish. So what are your thoughts on today's WWE news stories? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.